a little bit of Toronto in the background, and I'm halfway through Cold by Drew Hayden Taylor, which is set in Toronto from that view. So this is a thriller. Well, it's a mystery. It's not very thrilling necessarily. You are aware from the beginning there's some sort of supernatural force that is pursuing some people, and it is associated with the cold weather and cold, like it brings a cold chill before it attacks. And we have 4 main characters, but there's a few side plot characters as well. So you're kind of introduced to some of the side plot characters who are consumed by this force before they are consumed. And we're following an Indigenous studies professor, a Indigenous hockey player, and a immigrant of Caribbean descent journalist, and who survives a very tragic, devastating plane crash, and then also a detective, as far as I can tell by the halfway. I mean, this book takes a long time to get going. It's told in kind of, there's some past vignettes brought in for the characters to kind of cover their personal stories and trauma for some of the characters, not all of them. And I don't know, I'm not super engaged. I think the main character that I am attached to is the journalist. I think she is the most intriguing, and her story parts are the most intriguing to me. I'm not exactly sure if this writing style is my cup of tea. There's a lot of repetition, a lot of explaining things, like mentioning things like the age of the characters over and over, the names of the characters too much. There's a lot of, I think there's supposed to be humor in here, but I don't find these types of stories humorous when you use a lot of cliches or one-liners. There's a lot of one-liners, which, I just don't find funny necessarily. So, I'm kind of lukewarm overall about it. But I like it enough. I'm intrigued enough to see how it ends to read it through to the end. And so I will check in again with you when I've got to the end. And we are actually leaving Toronto today. We're heading out of Toronto and into another part of Ontario to visit some family and friends. So I'm actually hoping that I will finish this over the next 3 days, potentially on the plane on the way home. But I might end up finishing it, Monday if that doesn't happen and I get pulled into other things over the weekend. All right, I'll talk to you again soon. Hi everybody. I finished Cold by Drew Hayden Taylor this morning, and this was my fresh read for August, and I'm glad I read it because I think it's really important to try out new authors and see if their style works with you, this was set in Toronto, so that was one of the reasons that I read it, because I just traveled to Toronto, which you'll have seen already in this vlog. And overall, it was just not for me. I really appreciate the way that Drew Hayden Taylor can weave a story together, but the execution for me is just not, just didn't have the kind of writing style that I gravitate towards, and certainly, and I wouldn't call this a thriller. I think it's listed as a mystery, but I wouldn't say that there's not a lot of twists and turns, and I didn't find that there was a suspensefulness to it that I would have hoped for when you're thinking about something pursuing someone, which is really what this story is about, this pursuit of this creature following people and killing people across the country. And it just didn't have really any sort of suspense in it for me, or any sort of intrigue, really. The characters were interesting, but I found that there was too much repetition around their descriptors. So things like repeating their ages, repeating their professions, repeating their perspectives. The characters felt quite one-dimensional in that way. I think there's only so many times you can describe someone as a hockey player and have that be a descriptor of a person so completely, and so it just kind of kept me removed from the characters. And then the character that I liked the most turned out to not really be given, in my opinion, like a satisfying conclusion. So overall, I'm glad I read it. I don't think I'll be pursuing any more Drew Hayden Taylor. I don't think his style is for me. But it just fell short for me in a few areas that that are too important for my reading taste to pursue his work any further. Yes, so not a great result, but thank you so much for watching this reading vlog, and I will be reading another fresh read in September, so be sure to check that one out and subscribe if you're new, and I will be back again soon with another video.